They say you never forget your first, and in this case I think it's actually correct because I remember the first time I presented up here. It was actually during COVID, it was online, but it was a Metals Investors Forum, it was Brian London. We just picked up an option on a property and no one knew who the hell I was. This is the first company I've ever run. But we optioned a project that we said, that we thought this is the unmined extension of something that this time 100 years ago was said to be the richest place on earth. We paid $250,000 to option it for that year. Everyone, of course, thought I was crazy. And then we hit on our first drill hole. And here we are 4.5 years later. We've drilled out 100 million silver equivalent ounces. It's the highest grade large discovery in the silver industry of the 2020s, and it's going to get a heck of a lot bigger over this coming year. This is my first time at MIF presenting our PEA. We've taken our project from first drilling to discovery to maiden resource to 100 million. And just last September, we put out our first PEA, and it established that this is going to be one of the lowest cost producers in the world as we drive this forward. We're looking at a mine, 8.6 million silver equivalent ounces every year over 8 years at under $12 all in. And you know, we're not in some far-flung place in the middle of nowhere. We're 3 hours from Vegas, 4 hours from Reno. Power, water, casinos, we got everything here, and it's right now on the fast track to be driven forward. One of the nice things, I mean, there's not a CEO here that if they could have their druthers or their own magic wand and have the ability to wave it over their project and move it to private land in Nevada, they do it in a heartbeat, and that's because this is a project that can be driven forward very quickly through permitting. What we have here, obviously Nevada's one hell of a place to be in the context of where you have to go globally these days. But private land in Nevada means that we don't have any involvement from the federal government when it comes to permitting. This is something that can be fast-tracked right into production very, very quickly. So it's not going to be something where you're having an elongated Lassonde curve. What we're doing right now this year, the focus is simply on NAV accretion. So what you'll see is for our PEA, I mean, the grade is king, as they say. So at 570 grams per ton head grade, this is 55% higher head grade than the next closest developer comp in the industry. And that gives us a lot of wiggle room when it comes to prices. So we did our PEA at $23 silver and $1,900 gold. And at that, we're looking at an after-tax IRR of 40%. For our upside, which also now seems like a distant memory given how quickly gold and silver have run. At base case plus 20%, we're looking at a $500 million after-tax NPV and an IRR that's north of 54%. Modern prices, current prices, you're looking substantially higher than that. But if I don't add another ounce, this is something that's going to get built and make people a lot of money. But what we're focused on this year right now is adding mine life on the back end and adding grade on the front end and blowing out our numbers by this time next year. So Tonopah Silver District, I told you 100 years ago, this was the richest place on earth. This followed in the footsteps of the Comstock Lode. It's the reason why Nevada to this day is known as the Silver State. It seemed too good to be true. I mean, in 30 years, it was discovered in 1900 to 1930, it produced just under 400 million silver equivalent ounces. All of that coming from just 7.5 million tons of material. What that means is it's high grade and the metallurgy here is phenomenal. And it's just silver and gold, meaning that processing this thing is very, very straightforward. We don't have to go through extra steps to make a lead and zinc con. We don't have to get a smelter involved. Very straightforward, boring, vanilla project, and that's good. So some more distinctions I'll tell you about. I mean, as I said, just at the base case, at 23 silver, you're already looking at a 2-to-1 NPV to CapEx ratio. What we're doing this year, I told you we're focused on blowing out our NAV, and that's well underway because we've got two things we're trying to address. One is the PEA outlines a 2.3-year payback period. This PEA is based on inferred ounces. So what we're doing is we're taking the mine plan and we're drilling out what we think will be the first 2 to 3 years of production, effectively making it a no-brainer to get this thing built, to push a button and decide to actually spend the money to do it. But as a function of drilling it out, we're drilling out the highest grade portion of the property, and it's the shallowest portion of the property. We've been putting out, we've completed 3/4 of our M&I conversion program. Our average grade in that area is off the charts already. In our first 2 years of production, laid out in our PEA, we're in a stope that's 980 grams per ton silver equivalent. This is already the highest grade structure in the industry, and it looks like it's going to get substantially higher given the results we've seen. Another big positive development from this drilling that we've been doing is currently our mine that's laid out starts around 200 meters below surface. Well, as a function of just this drilling that we've been doing over the past few months, we've brought mineralization up dip closer to surface, and we've hit some of the highest grades we've ever hit on this project. When you can feed high-grade material on the front end of the mine life, it means you're blowing out your economics, and that's something that we're looking forward to wrapping up in a resource by September of this year that will be put into a new PEA. In addition, 8 years, it seems a little short. Analysts like 10. We think we can take it well beyond 10 with what we're doing. So just to put into context of you, right now I'm a $100 million market cap. I'm not happy about it, but when we started we were $1 million, but we're undervalued versus our peers as we have right now. Now you'll see this is my production profile and cash cost laid out with every operating silver mine in the world today. And what you'll see, there's a lot of similarities. So Silvercrest, who's just two to the right or two to the left, they just got taken out for $2 billion by Coeur Mining. What you'll see is that our production profile and their production profile are very comparable. They're showing 10.2 million ounces a year. This is their second year of commercial production, a cash cost of $12.50. Our second year of commercial production, we're projecting to produce over 11 million ounces at sub $12 cash costs. This is something that'll move the needle for every silver company in the world and a lot of gold companies too. So this is Tonopah today, very charming, historic mining boomtown, but this is Tonopah 100 years ago when it was discovered in 1900. Now, one thing about this discovery was that it's the era of horse and buggy, but what's really interesting about this photo is that you'll see there's power lines there. It was those power lines that were there that actually ended up sinking this district, at least as it came to our property. As production, the discovery for Tonopah was made on the east side of this district, and the old-timers from big outcropping veins, they mined it underground and they followed everything west. So in the mid-1910s, a really, really well-backed company that was backed by George Wingfield and Charles Schwab, not the financier, but he was the CEO of US Steel. He was one of the titans of the day. Started gobbling up every single thing they could on the western half of the district, skating to where they thought the puck was going. Well, by 1924, production had gotten to their side of the property, right where that purple claimback package starts off, and that was called Victor. Victor was the deepest shaft in the district, and it was the thickest vein. When they flooded it out, they tried to use electric water pumps. The electric water pumps, well, it wasn't all that much water, but electricity wasn't all that reliable, and they flipped a switch, and the lights would go off or would lead to brownouts and blackouts everywhere else, and the mine would re-flood. What we found out is that, Mr. Schwab at the time, he said, you know what, listen guys, there's clearly a lot more mine life here. Let me give you a loan. We can go and build these diesel generators and heavy-duty water pumps in my foundries over in Europe, and we'll give you the loan, you pay it back once they're installed. They weren't shipped and installed till 1929. Silver prices had tanked, and when they were, Schwab blew out all his shares. He sent this company into Chapter 11, and it was picked up out of Chapter 11 for the sum of $650,000 in 1929. It's held by that family until we got it in March of 2020. Turns out the Tonopah Extension Mining Company that I just told you about nailed their consolidation of this district, because what we do have is the extension of the richest place on earth from that era, and we're showing that it's got a whole lot more life to give. We've drilled out 4 kilometers of what we think is cohesive, intact mineralization on this vein corridor, right from where they stopped mining on the eastern side, and we've got a lot of upside that we're trying to do. So I told you, we're looking at a few different re-rates this year. I think one of the reasons why we're trading at a discount to some of our peers is that our resource has some skepticism built into it as to whether the high grades hang together. Well, we're going to get an M&I credit by hopefully September once we get our new resource out, and that should be one of the highest grade M&I credits in the industry. It's tying together really well. The other aspect is we got a kilometer, 1.2 kilometers of strike that we're drilling out right now that'll bolt right onto our existing mine plan. Everything we're doing, every ounce we're doing is going to add onto this one underground giant mine here, but it's a good start, and I hope you come along for the ride. Thank you.